UConn-Villanova. What other words need to be said? The rivalry is back on and a must-win game for the Huskies. I'll preview. This is Locked On UConn.
You are Locked On UConn, your daily podcast on the UConn Huskies. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Happy weekend and welcome back to another episode of Locked On UConn. I am Matt Sean Biscuit, two-time graduate, 10-year credentialed media member, and host of the only daily UConn sports podcast, Locked On UConn, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in the world. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and thank you for making this your first listen each and every single day. On today's show, I will preview today's matchup with Villanova and talk about why today is a must-win. Then, how the Huskies can use today's performance to change the narrative surrounding the team. And finally, with all the history between UConn and Villanova, I'll recap the rivalry with some of the best moments from over the years. But first, today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back. No fork needed. Vanilla-y, cakey flavor. Caffeinated kick and no sugar. It's party time. Order now at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. So UConn-Villanova back on the hard court today. UConn enters 2-2 in their last 4 games. Obviously coming off the 91-84 loss to Creighton, 81-72 2 Fridays ago to St. John's. In between there, a 10-point win at Butler and the 4-point win against Georgetown, which down the stretch could have gone either way. Today is a huge game. Today is the day UConn, especially as we are now late February, needs to get things right. Needs to get things right offensively, needs to get things right defensively, needs to get the right rotation in, and also potentially needs to get their players healthy. Because there's some players that have been clearly banged up over the last couple of weeks. Alice Karaban, Braylon Mullins, etc. So today, turn the page. Rip off the Band-Aid of Creighton, start anew, and from here on out, focus on this team, focus on this game like it is a tournament. Because the rest of the way, you're battling for seeding. If you do not play well down the stretch here, you are going to have a tough time come seeding time for the NCAA tournament. So today is monumental. Not only is it a rivalry game, but it's huge to change the direction of where this program and this team is going this season. Program, obviously, we don't need to talk about. It's on the rise. Continues to be. Top program in the nation. But this season, fix this season now. Because if you don't, things are not going to transpire the way we want them to transpire and the way this team and this coaching staff and this fan base wants things to transpire the rest of the way. So today is huge. 5:30 tip, TNT True TV. At Villanova. A chance to really separate yourselves in the standings. Right now, UConn sitting in the number 2 spot. Hard to believe. Hard to believe that at 24-3, you're sitting in the number 2 spot in the Big East. But that's where you're at because you're 14-2 in conference. You're game and a half up on Villanova. This is an important game not only for NCAA tournament seeding, but for Big East tournament seeding as well. Do you want a regular season Big East title? Next 2 games are massive, monumental. Starts with Villanova today, St. John's on Wednesday night. But it's going to be a battle here. And listen, Villanova is 21-5. Winners of 6 straight. They're 12-2 at home. Today is going to be a raucous atmosphere in Philadelphia. Which brings me to another point that I brought up the other day. The Big East is completely disrespected. Completely. Villanova's sitting here at 12-3 in the conference. 21-5 overall, and they're sitting on the outside of the top 25. Let's run through it. Their losses on the season. Here we go. BYU opening the season. 5-point loss. At the time, BYU was number 8. Michigan. At Michigan. They got blown out, but it's Michigan, the number 1 team in the nation. Creighton. Lost by 4. We saw what just transpired. right? We saw what Creighton is capable of when they play well and when they're focused and not distracted like they have been. It's been a sad story what's been happening with the players in that roster off the court. I'm glad things are right for them because, listen, beyond basketball, we've got life. And it was a great sign and a great gesture by Dan Hurley and this program in UConn to honor the loss of Dix's mother before the game. But they've been up and down. You could see Creighton's beaten Villanova. They're now beating UConn. Then you got St. John's. Villanova lost to St. John's by 7. And then they lost to UConn by 8. The rest of the season, unblemished. So you've got a loss to number 8. You've got a loss to now the number 1 team in the nation. You've got a loss to Creighton, who just proved themselves that they can beat top teams. And then your only other 2 losses are St. John's and UConn. Kevin Willard, my goodness. What a job he has done coming over from Seton Hall, no? Spectacular. Spectacular job by him and his staff to, after Neptune left, get Villanova in this program back to a place that is where it should be on the national scale. Now, they're not getting national recognition. And it's a testament to how the nation views the Big East. Can you think back to early 2010s when top to bottom this conference had, 12 teams, 13 in the NCAA tournament? And now we can't even get more than 2 ranked in the top 25. It's ridiculous. For what these programs have been, their legacies. And it's something that needs to change, as we talked about the other day. They are receiving votes. Granted. However, we just went through the losses. BYU, number 23. St. John's, number 17. UConn, number 5. Michigan, number 1. Those are your 4 losses outside of Creighton, who has proven themselves that they're able to compete with teams when they're not distracted. And they've been rightfully distracted this season. So today, UConn's going to be going on the road in a very, very, very hostile environment. And it's critical that UConn's ready to go from the jump because we saw what happened at St. John's, right? The last time UConn went on the road for a marquee road game in this conference, as Dan Hurley said, we got punked. And they're going to be walking into, dare I say, an even more hostile environment down in Philadelphia today. Because Villanova and UConn, the history's there, obviously. But you're not going to have half the arena with UConn fans today. It's going to be filled to the brim with fans of Villanova. And this game has been circled on their calendars for them to make a statement. It's an opportunity for the conference as well to showcase, again, the top end of this conference and what these teams can bring to the table. This should be a top 25 matchup. This is a top 25 matchup. In my mind, it's just the voters and the coaches don't have Villanova there for whatever reason. Conference affiliation. But this is going to be a great basketball game today. And it's an important one for UConn. Because, yes, we just talked about the perception of the conference. But it's absolutely paramount that UConn changes the narrative of this team this season. And it's going to start tonight. And we'll talk about that after the break. Welcome to 5-hour energy flavored. Welcome to the 5-hour energy flavored draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like confetti craze, fruity rainbow, or cotton candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and I've got my number 1 pick for the 5-hour energy flavored draft. My top flavor that I'm picking in the draft, cotton candy. Why? It brings me back to childhood. The sweetness, the sugary rush, just the overall satisfaction and smile that will bring to my face to remember the times with my family, my parents, my siblings, at events, having cotton candy. It just brings me back, and that's what you get with 5-Hour Energy. 5-Hour Energy shots give you a boost with zero sugar. 5-Hour Energy has a lot of upcoming flavor innovations planned. Again, my pick, cotton candy, due to the smile and the experiences it brings to my face. For a limited time, 5-Hour Energy would like to see you come back and create your own. So visit 5-Hour Energy, find your favorite flavor of 5-Hour Energy shots, available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Again, 5-Hour Energy shots are available online. Pick your favorite flavor, 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. Love futures this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title. It adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. Plus, you can get long shots for teams that are under the radar. It's an opportunity to really put your money to use. And now, not only can your pick cash, but could also send you to the NBA Finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Again, visit FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Back in on Locked On UConn, and we are talking about how UConn tonight needs to change the narrative and the direction of the season. There are, and there has been, despite the record, 24-3. We just talked about it. 24-3. 14-2 in conference. Half a game out of first behind St. John's. Who they have on Wednesday night a chance, if they go on their winning streak here, we'll be back in the top spot and the favorite to win the Big East tournament. This team has a chance. The opportunity is big. Again, a chance to change the direction of this season. Because there's been a lot of questions from the media, especially the fan base, who has been impatient, is informed, knows what they're talking about, knows what they see, maybe. Listen, UConn's seen a lot of basketball over the years. They know when a team is really pushing forward and is a top contender, and really when a team is not playing up to their true potential. So the concerns that this fan base has had, even during the run, when UConn was running off 14 games, 15 games, there were situations and moments and aspects of the game that concerned fans, including myself. We talked about it here on the show. We heard and listened to Dan Hurley as well. But the biggest thing was the killer instinct. The killer instinct, then the rebounding. Defense has taken a step back as the season has gone along. And then the inconsistency on offense from some of your key players due to a number of issues, whether it's been injury, whether it's been got other guys being out and rotations not being set. This team has not really put a full game together in a while. There were huge gaps when that transpired. Obviously, at the start of the year, things were going great. But even with that win over BYU, they let them come all the way back, right? Remember that? And then UConn was rolling. The wins over Kansas, Illinois, Texas. But there was that large gap between New Year's Eve win over Xavier on the road, right? To January 31st was really the next time this UConn team put somebody away. And now we've experienced the last 2 weeks. Lost to St. John's, the 10-point win to Butler, the just squeaking by Georgetown, and then the loss to Creighton earlier this week. So there's more questions that need to be answered. Many more questions. But this team has the opportunity. The ball is in their court to really take hold and change the direction and narrative of this season, both for the fan base and for themselves, both here locally and nationally. I've been on some national shows here on the Locked On Network talking about how UConn was and should be the favorite for the national championship at times a few weeks ago. Reason being, they hadn't been losing a game. Their depth, their defense. Their only loss at the time before St. John's was to Arizona, down 2 of their starters. This team, and that was only 2 weeks ago. That was before the St. John's game. That week, that Sunday night, I had that conversation on the national show. This team is still there. Just because they've gone through a bad stretch does not mean this team doesn't have the ability and the capability to get back to where they were, to obtain their true potential, and be who this coaching staff knows this team can be. Because the depth is still there, the offensive talent is still there, the shooting ability is still there. Defense is still there. Offense is going to be there. It's just talent. They have shooting talent. They're going to be able to score the basketball. There's no question about that. Even in the loss earlier this week, they had 84 points, for goodness sake. Not like they would struggle to hit 70. They put up 84 at home. You should win that game. Where did they fail? Defense. And we talked about this post-game. Defense is a mindset. It's an effort thing. It's a you're not coming into my house and scoring the basketball type of mindset. If they have that mentality, their offense is going to take care of everything else. It starts on the defensive end. And if they come out firing defensively today at Villanova, I still think that the sky is the limit for this team. I still think and have the same expectations later this year if they're able to fix things on the defensive side of the court. Rebounding should come. Hurley's got to light a fire under his bigs. And I think, no doubt about it, coming off the Creighton loss, I think he's been doing that. There's been no media availability since the post-game loss to Creighton. Now, it's a quick turnaround. That game was Wednesday. They traveled Friday. Thursday, they spent the time breaking down the film, talking with the team. But listen, if Hurley wanted to, he would have connected with the media on Friday, like he normally would. After they arrived in Philly or before they left, there would have been a media availability. I like the fact that it's been all quiet. Why? It tells me this team is focused on fixing what is wrong. The film sessions, I'm sure, on Thursday. My goodness. Hurley could have. It's probably the worst film session that he's had with this group yet, in terms of challenging his guys through evidence of what needs to change and what needs to improve. And if they take it to heart, which I think they can, and I think they will today, we'll see. I can have all the thoughts in the world. I can think this team is the deepest in the nation. I can think this team is the most talented offensively in the country. But it means nothing unless they execute on the court. And they have an opportunity to not just change the minds of the voters, but change the mindset of the fan base as well, who I know is teetering right now of what is this team going to do the rest of the way. So it's a huge opportunity today for UConn. Change the narrative. That's my mindset heading in if I'm this group. Change the narrative, change the direction of this season, change the course of what's going to transpire in March and in April. And it's got to start tonight. It's got to start tonight. They got to get healthy. Number one, huge. But whoever's playing tonight, if there's anybody out, we don't know yet. But whoever is on the court tonight, 150% effort. That never say quit, never say die attitude. That's what's got to be on full display. So we'll be back post-game, obviously, to talk through that game later tonight. Before we head to break, you can get Locked On UConn ad-free with the Everydayer Club, plus members-only Discord access. Join at lockedonucon.supercast.com. Again, ad-free with the Everydayer Club. Sign up at lockedonucon.supercast.com. We'll be back on the other side to recap some of the memories over the years. Villanova, UConn, huge rivalry in the Big East. Long-standing rivalry. So many moments. We're going to pick a few of our favorites from over the years. Probably mostly from my time at school, but we'll summarize those after the break.
I'm Clea Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. It was a heavyweight showdown between number 3 South Carolina and number 7 LSU, and the Gamecocks rose to the occasion. South Carolina secured a hard-fought 79-72 victory to stay atop the SEC standings, using a balanced offensive attack to outlast the Tigers. Tessa Johnson led the way with 21 points, while Raven Johnson added 19. Medina Okot dominated the paint with a double-double, finishing with 12 points and 17 rebounds, while Joyce Edwards chipped in 10 points to round out the scoring. With the statement win, the Gamecocks now turn their attention to a road matchup at number 23 Alabama on Thursday. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
Back in on Locked On UConn, and listen, it is UConn-Villanova rivalry day, and I was perusing social media this morning before starting this show, and listen, our fan base, I got to give credit where credit's due. Those diehard, hardcore fans all over X, all over social media, already posting some key highlights from major UConn-Villanova battles over the years. I love it. It allows me to look back on some of those moments, and every time UConn-Villanova plays, I know we're always looking back at those, such as the Shabazz buzzer beater on the road at Villanova. One of the most epic games ever. Just over half court, down 2, launches, buzzer beater, game over. Just spectacular. I remember these are the moments where you remember where you were during these games. Shabazz buzzer beater. That's one. How about the 90s? I was just growing up as a kid. I was born in the mid-'80s. Those 90s battles between Kerry Kittles, Ray Allen. Just spectacular matchups. CBS. And then as a student, 2006, number 1 versus number 2 at Gamble. My gosh. What an epic environment that game was. That matchup was just with Villanova's 3-guard lineup, Randy Foy, Mike Nardi, and Alan Ray. Just what a matchup that was. And then the pregame environment, just and it's funny because Nardi is now part of the UConn coaching staff, of course. And one of the signs that has lived in infamy was the Nardi Likes Coldplay sign, as well as the CBS sign that had some comments about Jim Calhoun and Cutter Sumter, which was being passed around. If you were there, the environment, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Just those flashbacks. It just brings me back to those days in college, the absolute epic games and environments because of these two teams playing, because of the caliber that these two teams are. And listen, the national championships in college basketball, 5 of the last 11 between UConn and Villanova, NCAA national champions. 5 of the last 11 years. And yet, we still have this narrative out there that the Big East is what? Glorified WCC. That narrative's got to change. And these two teams can do that. These two teams, with their rivalry and what the energy and the atmosphere is going to be like tonight, can change nationally some of the narrative, the incorrect narrative that's out there. And anytime these two teams match up, it's always an epic game. It's always an energetic game. And it's back to the scene of Dan Hurley's postgame. He proclaimed, right? Rightfully, correctly, you better get us now because it's coming. And my goodness, has it ever come. Going for 3 championships in the last 4 years. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, after UConn came back to the Big East, the win at the XL Center at the time. The 1-point win. What an atmosphere that was. That really spoke to the progress Dan Hurley made at that time. That UConn was able to come in and announce that they were back to the Big East with that win over Villanova at home. So listen, Villanova, UConn, expect another great matchup tonight. Outside of everything that's been transpiring, enjoy this one. Because the UConn-Villanova matchups, they come twice a year. Maybe 3, maybe 4. But every time they match up, it's a memorable game, an exciting game. And it's part of the reason why we love sports so much. So enjoy today. UConn-Villanova, it's going to be a great one. It's a meaningful one, and it's an important one for this UConn team. We will, given the importance, we will have a post-game show today to break down exactly what happens, win or lose, however the game goes. It's a great game. If UConn doesn't show up, if UConn comes out and performs to the level that I think they are capable of, we'll be here to talk about it. So keep an eye out for that. And with that, thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Locked On UConn. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On UConn on social media so you can get all the latest episodes. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On UConn ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonucon.supercast.com to join the club. Again, lockedonucon.supercast.com to join the club. Again, we'll be here post-game later tonight to recap today's UConn-Villanova game. Again, it's a 5:30 tip on TNT True TV. And then check back later tonight for a post-game summary. And as always, go Huskies!